Today I am Agsayo Elgin. China's capital is Beijing.
China is located in the Southeast Asia along the Pacific Ocean. China is the third largest country in the world after Russia and Canada. And the area is 9.60 million kilometers and its long coast of 80,000 kilometers. China is bordered by 14 countries, which is Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, Burma, India, Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Russia, Mongolia, and North Korea. Chinese flag is formally known as the national flag of the People's Republic of China. It is a Chinese red field with 5 golden stars charged at the canton. The design has 1 giant star and 4 smaller stars arranged in an arc pointing towards the flag. The red color of the flag symbolizes revolution. The stars take on the yellow color in order to bring out on their brightness on the red ground. The larger star represents the CPC, while the 4 smaller ones the Chinese people. The relationship between the stars means the great unity of the Chinese people under the leadership of the CPC.
China is one of the world's oldest civilizations, yet it is only recently that it has become a modern nation. China has transformed quicker than any other country in the world during the last 20 years. Chinese history is split into dynasties, each of which represent the reign of a line emperors. The Qin dynasty established the first empire in 221 BC. In 1912, the last emperor was deposed in China and became a republic. Following a civil war with the Chinese nationalists, the communist regime took power in 1949. China was a country of inventiveness in ancient times. For centuries, China was far ahead of most other countries in science and technology, astronomy, and mathematics. Among other things, the Chinese created paper, the magnetic compass, printing, tea, porcelain, silk, and gunpowder. Communism is a social system that aspires to establish a society in which everything is distributed equally among the people. A republic is a type of government in which the people choose their leaders to rule the country. Xi Jinping is a Chinese politician and government official who served as Vice President of the People's Republic of China in 2008 to 2013 and General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) in 2012 and the President of China in 2013 to the current year.
Renminbi refers to the name of the currency, while yuan refers to the basic unit of the Chinese currency. The symbol of renminbi is Y, as it's shared with the Japanese yen JPY. CNY is sometimes used to distinguish the Chinese yuan renminbi form from the yen. The 1 Chinese yuan equals to 7.96 in today's Philippine peso.
My name is Desiree Liporada and I'm religion in China. Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism are considered the 3 pillars of ancient Chinese society. As philosophies and religions, they not only influence spiritually but also government, science, the arts, and social structure. Languages in China. Mandarin, Standard Chinese, Cantonese, Gan, Hakka, Min, Wuxiang is the primary language in China. Mandarin is, if you heard of one of the Chinese language, there is a pretty good chance it was the most widely spoken form of Chinese, is without a doubt Mandarin. Standard Chinese, and since the late of 19th century, the official language of China has been Standard Chinese. It's just one of the Mandarin many dialects. Cantonese is more similar to Asian Chinese than any other major Chinese language. Gan. Gan is a distinctly different language from Mandarin and other Chinese varieties. Next is Hakka. Hakka is the most known well-as dialect which bears structural similarities to Cantonese and Standard Chinese. Next is Min. Min is this dialect is not mutually intelligible with other varieties of Min or Standard Chinese. Next is Wu. Wu is the language or variety of dialect predominantly spoken in the eastern region of China. Last is Xiang. Language from the Yunnan province and are divided into New Xiang. Customs and etiquette in China. Number 1 is don't give someone white flowers. They are for funerals and no exceptions. Number 2 is don't give clock as gift, especially to the elderly. It's the functional equivalent of telling someone that their days are numbered. Number 3 is don't give an appropriate greeting. If you are meeting someone in a business context, shake hands and smiles. If it's someone older than you with some sort of rank, you may do a very light bow from the shoulders. Next is do accept business cards with 2 hands. It's a sign of self-respect, glance at it for a few seconds, as if reading it's over, even if you aren't, and put it away in a chest pocket or a card holder, never in your back pocket. Next is do let elders take the lead at dinner. They sit first and get served first, and 4 is always 4 for them first. Let's start eating before they take their first bite. Next is do slurp your soup. It is a sign of appreciation for the chef's cooking. It is also not uncommon to let out a burp. Next is don't split the bill at dinner. It is a very rare to split the bill in the China. More often, one person will pay, usually the most senior person, or will ever extend the dinner invitation. The next is don't tip for everything. Tipping is usually not necessary in China, except for exceptional service at fine restaurant, to tour guides, and to below handling luggage in hotels. Next is don't use first name unless someone tells you to. Always use Mrs. or Mr. Next is don't be late. Punctuality is a sign of respect, and don't expect to get away with blaming your tardiness on subway traffic, the way you can in New York. Just be on time. Next is don't be whistle. Whistlings at home feels charming and all-American in China. It's considered a nuisance. At night time, it's said to attract spirit. During the day, it is considered mischievous. The next is do a good sport. If you visit China and look like a foreigner, it is quite common for people on the street to express their interest in you. Next is
I am Paul Vincent L. Mugat.
The 4 well-known traditional Chinese clothes types. Number 1. Hanfu. The most traditional Chinese clothing people use various ornaments to decorate their hanfu worn on the belt or sash. The ornaments are called pei. The more decoration they had, the higher social status they had. Men wore hats and women wear headpieces to go with their hanfu. Hanfu can be divided into three styles: jacket with skirts, jacket with trousers, and one-piece dress. The most popular style is the jacket with the skirt style, which is worn by women. The number 2, Kipao. The most famous traditional Chinese dress originating in the Qing dynasty. The cheongsam has mainly developed into Beijing styles, Shanghai styles, and Hong Kong styles. There are many differences in decorations, colors, materials, and designs. Beijing's cheongsam style is more traditional and conservative than Shanghai. In Hong Kong's, the colors of Beijing style is kipaos are much brighter and their decoration is more complicated than other styles. The Chinese arts and craft. Bronze vessels. Bronze vessels invented some 5,000 years ago led the ancestor of modern China from the Stone Age into a new era, the Bronze Age. The bronzes produced being delicately decorated with a diverse range of designs and motifs and were widely used in many aspects of life, such as musical instruments, ceremonial offerings, and weapons of war, being of great significance in the history of China. China calligraphy. China calligraphy, a highly styled form of writing, has been developed by many eminent calligraphers of many different dynasties, referred to as the four treasures of study: writing brush, ink stick, swan paper, and ink slab are regarded as the indispensable tools when writing. Chinese cloisonne. Chinese cloisonne is an enamel artwork with the primary color being blue. It is renowned for its use of highly quality material, complex manufacturing process, and its use of bright and vivid colors. Chinese pottery has a history of over 8,000 years and known as the oldest artwork of human beings. The accomplishment in pottery works can be seen from the terracotta warriors in Xi'an, Shanxi province, and its tricolor glazed pottery of the Tang dynasty, and so on. China seals. China seals can be made of metal, jade, animal tooth, or horn and carved with characters. It is a combination of calligraphy and engraving that people cherish in the old times and likes nowadays. China silk. China silk, a silkworm, produces 1,000 meters and 3,280 feet of silk thread in its lifespan of just 28 days, and it is of great value. Major local silk products in China are shuyun, song brocade, and brocades by ethnic minorities such as the Zhuang and the Dong peoples are well renowned. The three of China's most popular sports. The number 1, table tennis. Table tennis originated in England and was introduced to Chinese culture through the Western settlements in Korea and Japan in the early 1900s. Table tennis might seem like an easy sport compared to more physically strenuous ones like soccer or basketball, but that opens it up for athletes of all goes to play. It's still important, however, for table tennis athletes to take proper care of themselves. That includes establishing a healthy diet and getting enough nutrients. Because China is so dominant in table tennis, it will likely remain a top sport for many years to come. The number 2, soccer. Soccer is an incredibly popular sport all over the world. In China, soccer dates back to the Han Dynasty. It was initially used in the military as a form of exercise. 2, it's a popular sport. Soccer certainly isn't an easy game to play. It's not uncommon for players to get injured or dehydrated during a game due to so much running. Thankfully, anything from water to herbal tea can keep players hydrated, and proper stretching can reduce the risk of injuries. Number 3, martial arts. Wushu is one of the most ancient practices in China. It's estimated that began during the Bronze Age, a technique used by early men to fight for survival through using that idea it could have started much earlier. Modern Wushu isn't about survival. Rather, it's about technique. While it does include one-on-one combat, Wushu is more of a performance-based sport, where athletes use the choreographed sequence to simulate an actual fight for survival.
Peking roasted duck. Peking roasted duck is a well-known dish from Beijing that is regarded to be one of China's national meals. Chinese hot pot. Chinese hot pot is an interactive meal in which diners sit around a simmering pot of soup with raw meat, fish, veggies, and tofu in thin slices for rapid cooking. Dim sum. Dim sum is a traditional Chinese dish made up small plates of dumplings and other snacks. It is often served with tea. Char siu. It resembles roasted pork and is best served alongside rice or noodles. Baozi. Baozi are Chinese buns prepared from yeast dough and loaded with savory or sweet ingredients. Chow mein. Chow mein, egg noodles and vegetables that have been stir-fried are the foundation of this classic Chinese cuisine.
My name is Mark Ryan Ampad. I will discussing about education of China. First, the education system in China is a major vehicle for both inculcating values in the teaching needed skills to its people. Traditional Chinese cultures attach great importance to education as a means of enhancing a person's work and career. Next, I will discussing about the festival and events in China. Number 1. Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is also called Spring Festival. It is the most important festival to Chinese people. Many activities are held to celebrate the festival such as dragon dances, sending of firecrackers, making dumplings, and so on. Number 2. Chinese Lantern Festival or traditional activities places to go. The Lantern Festival is traditional the last day of the Chinese New Year period. It became a festival about 2,000 years ago. Illusion of the lanterns and giant lantern and drone display makes that time festival. Number 3. Qingming Festival. Qingming Festival around April 4 is a Chinese people day for visiting graves and burial grounds to pay their respect to their ancestors. It's known as Thumb Sweeping Festival in English. Many Chinese also go for picnic during Qingming Festival to enjoy the picture scenery of spring. Number 4. Dragon Boat Festival. The most popular and representative activity of Dragon Boat Festival is Dragon Boat Racing. Dragon Boat Festival falls on month 5th day on 5th of the Chinese lunar calendar around mid-June. During the traditional festival in China, people customarily eat rice and dumplings.
7th day. Double 7th day falls on the 7th day of the 7th month of China lunar calendar, around mid-August. That's why it is called Double Seventh Day, known as China Valentine's Day. It is the festival that has legendary links with romance and love in China.
Festival. In 2022, the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as Mooncake Festival, will fall on September 10, Saturday. The Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated in many East Asian communities. People celebrated it by gathering for dinners, worshipping the moon, lighting paper lanterns, eating mooncakes, etc., and so on. Number 7. Winter Solstice or Dongzhi Festival. Some Chinese celebrate the winter solstice on December 21st, 22nd, or 23rd, depending on the day it falls. It is custom for people to eat dumplings and or tangyuan with their family on the day of winter solstice. Number 8. Summer Solstice or the longest day. Solar terms are Chinese conception of season and a product of the tireless exploration of the natural sciences by Chinese people ancestors. Number 9. The Double Ninth Festival. The Double Ninth Festival is also named Chongyang Festival. It is held on the 9th day of the 9th month of the Chinese lunar calendar, around mid-October. During the festival, enjoying chrysanthemums and climbing mountains are both popular activities in China. And lastly, number 10, Hungry Ghost Festival. In China, special costumes for memorizing the dead are held on Qingming Festival and Hungry Ghost Festival. Hungry Ghost Festival is the most important festival in month 7 of the lunar calendar for Chinese people. The date lunar month 7 day 15 is around late August. This is the do's and don'ts of China. Do's of China is greet other by using a handshake or nod. Bows are best saved for you visit to Japan or Korea. Next is to join in the toast. It's considered polite to join in on each toast and even to stand up during formal gatherings. Next is do refuse a gift a number of times before accepting it. Politely refusing a gift before accepting it is the norm in Chinese culture, so don't be discouraged when someone initially refuses your gift. Do take off your hat when entering temples. This is done as a sign of respect. And the don'ts of China. Don't offer too firm of a handshake. A firm handshake could be construed as a sign of aggression. Next, don't put bone seed or other inedibles into your rice bowl. Use tissue on your hand to place them in a small plate provided, or observe how to other deal with them. Next is don't be too eager to unwrap your gift unless the person offering the gift insists. It considered polite in Chinese culture to open gift after you or your guests leave. Next is don't touch a Tibetan on the head. Tibetans believe that God resides in your head and may be offended by the gestures. And lastly, don't bring non-halal items in the Muslim restaurant, home, or our guide can help if you're unsure. That's all. Thank you.
Jeremy Sanchez. First in our bucket list is the Great Wall in China in Beijing. In the eyes of the most travelers, haven't meant to be in China if you haven't climbed to the Great Wall of China. One of the iconic symbols of China is the Great Wall. It is the longest wall in the world. Its aspiring feat in Asian defensive architecture and its winding path over rugged country, steep mountains take it to great scenery. It deserves its place among the new 7 wonders of the world and in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in China. And the number 2 is the Li River in Guilin in Yangshu, China's most celebrated scenery. The karst landscape along the Li River has captured the heart of artists, generation of Chinese painters and the poets had been inspired by the beauty nature in there, using their pens and brushes to capture the breathtaking natural scenery. Nowadays, it's the popular photography destination where Chinese travelers seek place for the natural beauty that first think of Li River in Yangshu. And now, let's proceed to the number 3 destination in China. Giant Pandas Chengdu, China's national treasure. The giant panda is not only deeply loved by the Chinese, but by many foreigners too, and not just for children. Although there are many zoos in China and elsewhere where you can see a giant pandas. The best place is the Chengdu, where the giant pandas hometown. There are 3 places you can see pandas close up. Chengdu's Pandas Breeding and Research Center, the Lion Panda Valleys, and Bingxia Panda Base. Is the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain in Lijiang. Yulong Snow Mountain is the closest snow-capped mountain range to the equators outside the Andes. Jade Dragon Snow Mountain is sacred by the hearts of Nasi people. Glacier, canyons, waterfalls, and colorful azaleas blooming at the different evaluations, not to mention its snowy summits, make up the most beautiful scenario of the mountain. Jade Dragon Snow Mountain is a popular hiking destination. Skip cable cars and lofty mountain steps by step to get close into the beauty of its awesomeness. It's the Mongao Caves in Duhang. In the west, there is a Louvre. In the east, there's a Monga Caves. The Monga Caves are famous for their distinguished murals Buddhist statues. The Monga Caves were included in UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List in 1987. Others from different periods of the Middle Ages left their work here. All kinds of work spanning over 1,000 years complement each other. Standing in desert and Monga Caves are like glittering pearl Adams and Silk Roads. Next is the Dakota Army in Xi'an, 2,000 years old underground army. The Dakota Army has laid underground more than 2,000 years. However, 1974 farmers digging well uncovered one of the greatest archaeological sites in the world. 1987 it became the World Cultural Heritage. It is significant because the hundred of detailed life-size model represent the army of triumph over all the Chinese armies in the Warring States period in 475 to 221 BC, and who were best decisive factor in forming United China. It raises an interesting question about why it was made, which await you considering when you come face to face with soldier of the past. The Forbidden City in Beijing, the Imperial Palace for 24 Emperors, was one of the place city where ordinary people was forbidden entry, an extravagant demonstrative of ancient Chinese architecture. Over 8,000 rooms with golden roofs are elegantly designed and painted red and yellow. The Forbidden City was imperial place of the Ming and Qing dynasties for 560 years, till 1911. 24 emperors lived in there. World Cultural Heritage and known as the Palace Museum among Chinese. It was treasure house for Chinese cultural and historical relics. And in Shanghai's stunning skyline colonial architecture. The Bund is one of the most recognizable agricultural symbol of Shanghai. It is showcased that the world is colonial European building and skyscrapers to the other sides of Huangfu housing, one of the world's foremost business districts. The Bund was Shanghai's most prestigious area in the late 19th century and early 20th century, when the first British company opened at the office Bund in 1846, began the epitome of elegance. The Wake Lake in Hangzhou, the paradise of the earth. Hangzhou is on the Chinese paradise on earth owing its beautifully crafted landscape. Westlake was created by the Chinese love for garden-style parks for the recreation. Westlake is the place of tranquility where urbanity becomes whole head of the northern horizon and mountain near the surround of the other sides. The occasional pagoda in Chinese styles arc the bridge in atmosphere to the tree-lined walkway and verdant island and hills. And now, let's proceed to the China Visa Tourist Guide. The Tourist Visa. Tourism in China requires a visa in typically single-entry visa with a stay of duration 30 days. US citizen may be eligible for 10 years multiple entry visa. The tourism visa requires your passport to valid for at least 6 months and must have the list of 2 blank pages. You must also have invitation letter from China Travel Agency. An individual round need to trip ticket and hotel booking. The regular service fee per visa is $349, equivalent to 19,794.41 in Philippine peso. Both fascinating facts about China. The number 1. China has the world's largest population. As of the year of 2016, the country has population over more than 1 billion people. Increasing by the years, or 2 years later, the population must have been increased by a few thousand. Number 2. Chinese language is the most popular language worldwide. This is the largely attribute to the number of Chinese native speakers due to the large population. 14% of the people in the world speak Chinese. The number 3. China is the 4th largest country in the world, after Russia, Canada, and the United States. China has an area of 9,700,6,961 square kilometer. With the large population in sight, the country does not look overpopulated. The number 4. China has the largest army. The army has over 2 million soldiers with the second largest defense budget. The army has an official division of 10,000 pigeons. During war, Chinese soldiers used to geese instead of dogs. Geese has a better eyesight and more aggressive than the dogs. LGBT rights in China. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, in short, LGBT. Those people in the Republic of China face legal and social challenges that they are not experiencing by non-LGBT residents. Same-sex couples are unavailable to marry or adopt. And households headed by such as couples are ineligible for same legal protection available to heterosexual couple. China provides to non-anti-discrimination protection for those LGBT people, nor does it prohibit hate crimes based in sexual orientation or gender identity. That's all. Thank you for watching and listening.
谢谢你。